Good morning, everyone. Good morning, or good afternoon if you're on the East Coast. I think they're clicking over on 12:01 right now, so sitting down probably to eat some chow. Veteran Coach Luna, Veteran Coach Jeff here, VA Claims Insider. Good morning, everybody. How you doing, Coach?
Doing great, Jeff. Morning, vets. Morning, Jeff. Yeah, we are here today, and we got some really good, valuable information. So please make yourselves comfortable. We're going to be going over mistakes that the VA makes.
And happy Wednesday to y'all. And like I said, and I think the sentiment is shared with Veteran Coach Luna. Thank you for spending some time with us today, especially after yesterday, the illustrious, 200 and however many years of our birthday of our nation, July 4th. So hopefully you all had a safe and happy 4th of July yesterday. I know I did, even though I live abroad, but I still celebrate it each and every time it happens. Before we get started with today's topic, we have a comments area. So sound in the comments. Let us, where are you from? I'll let you know where I'm from. Well, born and raised up in Indiana, but right now I'm tuning in from Puerto Vallarta, Jalisco, Mexico. So south of the border. Marine Corps, URA, active duty. 4 years, 2009, 2013, still in the reserves as a civil affairs officer right now. But my main main MOS was artillery. So, and what about you, sir? Veteran Coach Luna, where are you from?
I did 10 years in the Air Force. I'm born and raised in Texas. I did 4 active, 6 reserve, 3 deployments. I did aerial transportation. So I pushed cargo, loaded up passengers, troops, like pretty much FedEx and the airport in one for every base. A lot of complaints about missing bags. I was not one of those. So if anyone here recognizes my name, please don't blame me for any missing bags you had.
We just blew stuff up. That was our but now we're doing the I'm on the other side. I'm on the civil engagement side, so it's pretty nice to be there. But yeah, in the comments section, let us know where you're from if we're seeing anything. All right, we got I'm gonna throw some shout outs out there. Houston, we got some Navy for sure.
Welcome, Daniel, Tammy, Lori, Rick, Reginald. Welcome.
North Carolina. I mean, we got a lot of people, National Guard members. So, yeah, and that's another thing to say, especially with the advent of Space Force, right? We've got all our active forces, our uniform branches, and we have our supporting the National Guard and the Reserve Forces as well. So thank you each and every one of y'all for being here with us for sure. All right. Got a question for you, Coach Luna.
Yeah.
How long you been out here? How long you been with VA Claims Insider, VACI?
Going on 4 years.
4?
Mm-hmm.
That's longer than me. It's about as high as I can count as a Marine. We don't count the thumbs, so we got 4. That's a joke. But hey, I'm about 2.5 in now, working on my 3rd year. So it's definitely a blessing to be here. Were you ever a member, an elite member starting out, or did you just find the position?
Actually, I just found the position. I was at 70% when I got out. I had a pretty rough combat tour and got 70%. And I was actually looking for a job when party boat company I was a part of wasn't able to operate anymore. So I threw out an application. I've always wanted to work with veterans. I felt disassociated since leaving the reserves. And, I just threw out an application, and luckily I was contacted and I was brought on board. I could say this is one of the most rewarding positions I've ever had in my life. And being able to talk to veterans every day, I mean, that's awesome. I know dozens of others of my brothers or other veterans that would definitely want the chance to have the same position I'm in. So helping veterans out has become a passion.
It's a blessing. I know that. I was English teacher down here in Mexico, or in a school for about a year or two, and I left the States, found a job, and then I always wanted to get back to working with vets because I did some working with vets in a non-for-profit right before I left, and always kept in touch. But I found this by the happenstance, and ever since then, it's been a blessing. It's not work. It's not work. As you see, we're doing a live class here on Facebook. We got beautiful veterans with us from across the globe, across the states, and that's what I like. Is I'm not disassociated anymore. Like you, great word by the way. I'm connected again, and I have my service connection. I'm 100% permanent total. Had that before I came on board, and being able to share the knowledge that I gained going through the process when I did it, and then being able to talk with vets each and every day. Even sharing in, they call me up, hey, this happened, or, saying, hey, happy birthday, or just being a part of the process, not just a part of the education consulting company, the portion of that, but also being a part of their life. Right.
Absolutely.
Talking with veterans from like I was on a call this morning right before the call, Vietnam vet. Right. So
I love my Vietnam vets. They have some
the game.
stories. Yeah.
Fans the game. So that's what you just said, being able to have that connection, not a service, well, of course, a service connection, but not a service connection injury with us, right? Our relationship. But so that's why I'm very grateful for this opportunity. So I just wanted to ask that and say, hey, thanks for being here with me to kind of convey this next portion. So
Yeah, no, there's several times I'm pretty sure you can relate when you start building up that relationship with your vets. They say, I've not spoken like this to anybody since I was active duty, however many dozens of years ago. So,
oh yeah,
being able to rekindle that connection that only really military personnel really understand, it's also rewarding because it kind of connects them to a part of themselves that they probably missed but haven't been able to access for a while. So that's also a part of just really becoming a part of your vets lives, and you do become part of their life. They will send you they'll send us messages like hope you're doing well, like hey, I'm doing great, just regular friendly updates. So that's another really cool part about this is you make friends, you make some really good connections here.
especially with it being the happy fourth. I got so many pictures and memes and fireworks, and so hopefully y'all are doing okay, especially after the barrage of fireworks. If that's one of the a trigger point for you, I know some of us, we have those issues that we're probably not able to. I'm not a doctor or anything, but I know for me myself, some of the loud noises, even though I was artillery, don't really. They're just not there, right? They're not the best. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys are able to share your time with us, being able to uh, hopefully get something out of this period of instruction. I know that's what I call it. That's at least what the Marine Corps, from the Marine Corps side, what I called it. So appreciate y'all being here. And of course, with veteran coach Luna, thank you for being here as well.
Likewise. So before we get into it, let me go ahead and get the disclaimer out of the way. We are not accredited agents, VSOs, attorneys, or any other entity recognized by the Department of Veterans Affairs, and we are not affiliated with the VA in any way. VA Claims Insider is an education-based coaching consulting company for disabled veterans exploring eligibility for increased VA disability benefits and for those who wish to learn more about that process. VA Claims Insider also connects veterans with our preferred provider network for medical examinations and independent medical opinions for a wide range of disability conditions. The Insider Portal is a third-party application that allows veterans to connect through their va.gov profile. The Insider profile is referred to as a third-party application because the VA does not create these services and veterans are never required to use them. So, a little bit about VA Claims Insider, what we're about, what we provide. We provide strategy, education, medical evidence if applicable. You get one-on-one coaching with coaches like Jeff and myself. You get a strategy. So you'll be uploading your records. We'll take a look at them, ask about certain conditions you're living with, and developing a list of the most viable claims that you're most likely to get. And we don't do any claim submission. We don't access any of your records. We empower you to pursue your claim on your own, armed with knowledge about the process. We have live classes through Zoom 3 times a day, coffee with the coaches, mental health exam prep, and medical prep. If you want to know more about what we do, you can always sign up for the discovery call. So you can sign up for a free discovery call, talk to one of our team members, and see if it's the right fit for you. We're not a right fit for anybody. If you know enough about the process, if you know how to file your claims a lot, then we're for members that that just don't really know about this nebulous process. The VA process is a very can be a very confusing, nebulous entity to go up against. And we provide a little bit more clarity about how the process works, so we can empower you with the best knowledge to give you the highest chance of success. But back to the discussion. Are run by humans just like you and me. We make mistakes. There are times where we've seen veterans that made a mistake on their claim that ended up a denial. Other times we see that a veteran handed in a strong claim, but the VA made the mistake and denied it. So that's what we're going to be going over today, and knowing what to watch out for, knowing certain scenarios, and how to go about going around and appealing those mistakes to give your claim another chance to get service connected.
Hey, Coach Luna, I'm a numbers guy. All right, I'm an artillery guy, just like you had to work with weights and cargo and the plane and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about veterans. I think there's individuals here. They're saying, hey, I've been at this percentage this long, right? Or I served this long. We're numbers. So let's talk some numbers. I got a number here. It says almost 243,000, a little bit more than that as of July 1st. Okay, backlog claims. I said again, 243,000, about 660 some. Okay, now that's also taken that you got to take into account with you said human error. Let's go a little bit further to say, with the new PACT Act, right? Let's bring that to if we have any Vietnam veterans. You said you're a veteran 3 times of Iraq, Afghanistan, right? With the burn pit exposure, or just being in the Middle East in general, or missile, or what is in the PACT Act. That right there inundates, right? Great word with nebulous, big word. I have to look that one up later. I think that means a little like it's just backlog. It's cumbersome. There's a lot to it. And you make mistakes. I've made mistakes. I know the VA, they are people. So not only the inundation of those, but then also the people in the system itself. They might not have enough people to work or to cover down on those claims and processing it. So just kind of, I know for a fact I've had my issues with the VA. Like they've missed I were talking earlier about I had a biopsy and they had, they canceled it on me. Of course, I felt personally like, oh my goodness, why did they do this to me? But I know why. By doing what I've been doing the last couple of years with this, I'm pretty sure you see a little bit, and we see these mistakes. Okay, so hopefully what we're doing today will kind of shed some light on, hey, this is what it is, and then we'll kind of cover down on, hey, how can we go ahead and remedy? That's another big word for you. Remedy that for you. So, just wanted to throw that out there. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's like it's part of the game. The PACT Act was an amazing piece of legislation that's going to make a lot of good. Of course, it did swell the backlog, but that was to be expected. Eventually it'll come down to size. Veterans will be recognized with what they rightfully deserve and cover for any future health ailments that might be in that PACT Act that otherwise wouldn't have been possible. So a lot of good, but there's a lot of veterans out there that do have health problems. So just bear with the process. I'm even filing my own claims. I'm seeing some pretty long wait times for my own claims. It's across the board. So that's a part of the process is patience. Hurry up and wait. I'm pretty sure a lot of
I've never heard that before. Where's that from?
Right?
Trying to get out at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock on a Friday night, and you got to do 2 hours of site count. I'll forgive that one. But are you ready to begin on this one?
Yes, sir.
All right. I know when I filed a claim before, I'll tell you, after, I think it was the Appeals Modernization Act 2019, there's also the thing in 2020 to help to go with that, the Veterans Claims Assistance Act of 2000, the Veterans Claim Assistance Act. That, when the VA fails to provide a notice of evidence, or no evidence notice. Okay. So if you submit a claim, everybody says, well, I didn't get my decision, or I didn't get, you may get something in the mail that says, hey, we need more evidence, or we need this, or we need that. By law, they have to provide you something that says, hey, we need evidence. So if they don't provide that to you, right? If you file a claim for, whatever, I know a common one is tinnitus or tinnitus, however you want to pronounce it. If they don't provide that to you, we'll cover on how to remediate that, but that could be a pretty good grounds for appeal. So I would say that would be a good one. And that's across the board. It doesn't matter if it's mental health, musculoskeletal, auditory. What's another one? Bruxism is a common tooth or jaw issue that I see, or I've seen before. So if they fail to provide you a no evidence notice, right? So if you submitted your information, or if you did not submit evidence with your claim, whatever type of claim you're doing, they have to provide you something then. All right.
I can mention too, when you come up and you sign up with VA Claims Insider and you get a coach, there's really little, or it happens every so often, but we arm you to make sure that you submit a fully developed claim. So this won't happen. I have talked to veterans who will submit claims without any evidence and not receive this letter. So whether or not it was lost in the mail, whether or not the VA didn't do that, like when you come with us, we make sure that you get all your evidence before you submit the claim to greatly reduce the chances of this certain scenario happening. And if you give the VA all the evidence at once, they have everything they need to make the decision as quickly as possible. If they have to send out a no evidence notice, that could take however long for the letter to get to you, however long for you to get that evidence, and for however long that evidence takes to get back to the VA. So this is the sort of obstacles that we can give you the heads up so you don't have to endure.
Because you don't know what you don't know until you know it.
Exactly.
How many, I think I did over 3 or 4 years with my claims. So yeah, it's an arduous process, but we as military men and women, we understand operations management, order of operations. And, you do sign up, like we said there, with, the elite membership program, kind of a second or third set of, fail safe. Check it out. Hey, what do we got? We got everything ready? Yeah, you're good. Go ahead and, do your thing, with the claim for sure. Failing to provide a medical exam. Okay. So you submit a claim, right? You submit a claim. You're an artillery officer like myself, or you're air cargo, but you're around the planes all the time. So let's just do tinnitus because that's a common one, with that ringing, the buzzing, the hissing, whatever it is in your ears. I know I've got it right now really bad on my right side right now. Yep. So you apply for that. Let's just say a year after active duty, 2 years after. Okay. So when you get with the elite membership program, you'll have access, or even if you're searching out there, the CFR 38 CFR chapter 4, it has those jobs that are more susceptible, right? So let's just say with those jobs, and you apply and they don't give you an exam, a CMP exam, you got to appeal that. According to law, if you have the evidence of an in-service event, i.e. your job exposure, if we're talking about auditory issues, the VA must, that's you'll get into that with your coach, or you'll figure that out, the process, the language of the VA, right? Must provide an exam. So that's another one, right? So I don't know if you've had experience in that where, I've had some veteran clients where they apply and they just, well, the VA didn't give me an exam and they denied it. I'm like,
that's a huge one.
Yeah, you had the evidence. Come on now.
That's a huge, like it does happen every so often where a vet will be denied and they won't even be given the courtesy of an exam. If it was an oversight or mistake, whatnot, a lot of times, every time a denial is can be pretty traumatic for a vet. So if anybody here has gone through a denial and they just don't really understand why, don't give up hope. Like this is what coaches do as well, is when we see vets claim denied, we'll go through it and we'll see like, well, it looks like they overlooked something. So it wasn't the fact that your claim is not possible to get service connected. It was that there was some mistakes that were made, and we can definitely assist in showing you how to appeal that to correct that mistake, because the VA does have a process that corrects mistakes. So you get that understanding about the best path. There are certain paths to take, whether you're going to go through a supplemental claim or a higher level review. Depending on the nature of the denial and the mistake, we'll give you the best advice on which route to take.
Completely agree. I've had to do it myself. And we'll get into those, especially at the end, about which one is the best one for you. Because, right, each situation, I call it, everybody says situationally dependent in the military, the Marine Corps specifically. I call it vet dependent, because Coach Luna is not Coach Jeff. Coach Jeff is not, I can't pick anybody. I think John Pollard, I see. So there's other people in the chat. Each and everybody has a story to tell, and each and everybody has their own disabilities that are specific to them. So absolutely having that second set of eyes on it to say, hey, well, what are the favorable findings if you're looking at that AMA decision? Absolutely. And knowing how to read it. Because when I first read it, it was a foreign language. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? I don't know. How did I get denied? True story. How did I get denied for, ACL tears in my right knee when I had the in-service event? Knowing now, if I would have known it then, I could have had a new CMP, or I could have appealed it. But, years go on and we just didn't, like I said, you don't know until you know it.
Exactly.
So absolutely. Failing to provide an exam, hey, you get that notice. Let's say you do get your notice, right? You do get your evidence notice. Let's say you do all the things correct and you do get that CMP date, right? So you do get that exam, but let's just say you go in there and what happens? It's an incomplete exam, right? The example that I got, I was coming up when we were preparing, and I think you and I talked through this, is I'll go with my back, because I had a bad CNP on that one, right? A range of motion exam. There's a tool that they use in there. It's knowledge, the goniometer, right? So let's just say that you do the exam and they do a portion. So, we can bend over, but then you also got to stand up, right? Flexion, extension, right? You don't want to go to that point. You don't want to hurt yourself, correct? But what if they just check one thing and then they're just like, okay, we got to get you out?
Yeah, there's no way that a doctor could just eyeball a certain angle and make that determination. They need that goniometer to get some hard numbers about where you're at in your limited mobility. And that happens a lot. Like whether or not the doctor is just in a rush, or they're just not doing their exam just to get someone in and out. Once we hear that, yeah, I came in, they asked me about my back, and then I just left. They didn't take any measurements. They didn't even tell me to check my range of motion. That's happened. That's not a proper medical exam.
And that is our third grounds of maybe doing an appeal. That's absolutely, and it happened to me. I know it's happened to Coach Luna. It's probably happened to each and every one of you. So you guys and gals, you're on the right path here, listening and figuring out those things. Like we just said, hey, if it's you get in, you get out, and it's supposed to be a range of motion exam, that could be. So those are the things that when you do sign up with us, hey, you'll work through it and develop that, what we say, the SEM, that strategy. it's not just a strategy to, what you go after, but it's also that CMP preparation, like we said, with the classes that we do. So those, we'll go, and I think I taught one, just this last Monday, I actually taught a medical exam prep. So having access to these things, I wish I would have had access, back in the day. Even though I say back in the day, it was almost like 10 years ago. It's not that far. Let's go with, I think, what do you got next? I think offering a poorly supported final decision.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
So that's like back to what you were saying, like when you first get a denial letter, you don't know what this language is. Like
Mhm.
denial letters are kind of like their own language. So us coaches, we have experience with reading these denial letters. A lot of them could just be rushed copy and paste where, what they're saying isn't even really applicable to the disability we're even going after. I've seen that. So, if you
Yeah, like
get
going up. Yeah.
yeah, if you get a denial letter and then you read it and it just sounds like it's all over the place, like they're just kind of like throwing stuff out there, like you were denied because of, and then some roundabout reasoning. But if they don't give you any um, solid points of why they denied it, that's a poorly reviewed claim. So that's another red flag that would probably be a good appeal. And coaches here, I think there was a question here from Beverly. How do you get a coach? You can sign up for the discovery call. There's links for Jeff and myself to get a coach. So denial letters are their own language. So if you don't know how to read it, you might not know that they just kind of threw something your way to hope that you accept it and not come back. But we know how to read those denial letters and tell you whether or not it's worth pursuing.
I mean, I've seen them. I have seen a decision letter that was 3 pages long. Okay, we talked, for example, we had the range of motion exam. I've seen one that went in depth. Hey, we didn't do this because of this. Here's the range of motion. Here's the numbers. Here's the degrees. Everything. It was like 2 pages long.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen other ones where, veterans supported. They submitted everything that they're supposed to, right? Nexus statement, blah, blah. Everything perfect, right? Fully developed claim. Great package. Boom. They did it. They got it. They did it themselves. And then the decision letter comes back and it's like a two paragraph, maybe 2-3 sentences per. Hey, we denied it because boom. And of course, me being a coach, you being a coach, you read that and you're just like, I got it. HLR. We'll get into what those are here in a minute, higher level review. But it's like when you get that coach, if you've not been on this, if you've been on this process alone, hey, happy to be here with you, right? This is all right. We're going to go into an area right here that we at VA Claims Insider we do not deal with. We don't deal with the TDIU claims or the totally disabled individual unemployability. But I want to cover down on these a little bit because I think they're important. And if you want, I think you've heard this before. I've seen it before, especially with an uncle of mine, Vietnam vet, denying a claim because you're too old to work anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen that?
Oh yeah, they're very heartless. Like some of those denial letters can be pretty callous. Like, well, since you're at the age of so and so,
Right.
and likely not to earn income anyways, this is denied due to they're being ageist. Essentially, whatever examiner reviewed that was just being ageist.
Yeah, I don't know I haven't been in the States. It's been like 4 or 5 years. So what, retirement age 65?
Mm-hmm.
Please correct me if I'm wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
So say you're 67, 68, 70, whatever. Doesn't matter the age. You served. Brian, great dude for starting this. You served, you deserved. That's truth. That's the truth. It doesn't matter the age. If you waited 30, 40, 50, doesn't matter. You served, you deserved. The VA doesn't have that ability to say, John Smith, you can't work. Who are they to say that? And like you said, ageist, great word, by the way. Great word. So, that's the thing. So TDIU, what I said, is totally disabled individual unemployability. So what does that mean? That means that a veteran can have a percentage, a service-connected percentage, and they can only work to a certain threshold, right? Under the age of, I think we're getting a little ahead of myself, but here under the age of 65 is up to a certain point, and then over the age of 65 is up to a certain point of money that you can receive while being this category. But specifically, VA Claims Insider, like I said, we don't deal with the TDIU. This is just for you, some knowledge, right? So I'm a DC Comics kind of guy. I know there's maybe some Marvel comics, but this is for your tool belt, your Batman belt, right? So like we said, it's not up to the VA. Okay. So
There's a lot of vets like that job gives them meaning. And if you are unable to perform that job, like it's not the VA to say that, no, you're not allowed to work on that. But if you want to work and your potential is diminished because of your service connected conditions, TDIU could be the preferred route to make up for that potential that you've lost because of your disabilities.
Perfect. No, I couldn't. And I think it goes into, they call it marginally employed, under 65 and over 65. So it's like 15 and some change, under 60, and over 65 is 14 and some change. And then the other side is they have to have a protected environment for you. So I'm not going to get into that, but if you have something, check the ADA, right? You have to have reasonable accommodations for your workspace. I got another one here. Disqualifying your claim, all right, based on non-service connected conditions, right? So there is a thing where you can have a non-service connected condition and a service connected condition. You can. So you have a back injury. I'm my back's at 20% just for degenerative disc disease. So you have non-service connected back injury, but you have a pretty gnarly case of PTSD. Okay, pretty bad case. So the VAs can come back and say that you don't need TDIU because your back, your feet, your knees are keeping you from working anyway. No. The VA's responsibility specifically is to remove that non-service connected condition from that equation, and just to make the determination alone on that PTSD, on that mental health, or whatever condition it is. If you have a hearing issue that's not service connected, but you have a hand condition that is service connected and that's preventing you from working, right? It could be one of those as well. So make sure, there's another one as well, a part of that. If you're unable to work, regardless of the injuries that are not connected to the military, like we said, you could be eligible for that TDIU, but it can also go into SSDI. We don't deal with that, but it could go into that could be a factor in applying for that. But we're not going to get into that. We've already talked about disqualifying your claim based upon if you are working, right? We said the numbers, having the protected environment. But I want to, this next piece, because it does deal with the mental health piece, and I deal with mental health myself. I've got a rating for it. I was also a city police officer in the States for about 5 or 6 years. And so dealing with those things and talking with veterans and being a brother, being a family member to any one of my veteran clients, and walking that line with them and talking about their story, to have a denial when somebody comes back and says, "Oh, we don't recognize it." That, like you said, you use that word already.
Yeah.
You use the word already, and I'm going to use it again if you don't mind me using traumatic, triggering, gut punch. I like gut punch because I'm an MMA kind of guy. But let's just say they denied your mental health claim for a lack of a stressor. I just had a guy last week, happened to him. They said that his service in the Middle East wasn't a stressor enough. I know not all claims, especially mental health claims, are going to require that stressor, right? I know PTSD.
PTSD can require a stressor on that. Like if you were under constant mortars, like I was when I was in Kirkuk, every single day we were getting mortared multiple times, and it was always this fear of like, is it going to get me this time? I had a near miss when I was in the smoke pit, and it turned out to be a dud. And the EOD guy came up and patted my shoulder and like, "Good, you're lucky. That was a dud. Had it been live," and I was like, I think 20 at the time, and that leaves this profound feeling with you that like you just even like you felt like your life was at risk, and telling somebody that like, had that been the real deal, you wouldn't have been here. That sticks with you. That's a stressful event on top of everything else that you go through when you're in a combat zone.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be a couple of stressor events, like infantry guys might see a lot of combat. They might see one of their friends that fall.
Yeah.
Like there's a whole plethora of stressors there, and if one of your claims comes back like for PTSD, especially with PTSD, and they say it's denied because you lacked a stressor, but you knew that you just went through the worst hell of your life. That's traumatic, but it's salvageable. They've made a mistake because they didn't identify the proper stressors correctly. So
Yeah.
being able to
No,
give
I
them good.
completely agree with that. But make sure, not every mental health PTSD, yes, you need the stressor. Or if it's a
Mhm.
sexual assault claim as well, you can all combat or non-combat, right? PTSD specific needs that stressor. But if you have, I'm rated for a mental health condition secondary to,
Mm.
right? You have a primary condition that causes an issue in your life, like my back. I'm not going to get into it. My back, I've got, the triple D, the degenerative disc disease, arthritis, and then neuropathy, sciatica up and down my left and right leg. Right.
Oof.
Here at VA Claims Insider, we call it a lifestyle impact claim. Right. So if you get a coach and that's something that you want to work through them with that one. Because most nights they get 4 or 5 hours. The pain is manageable now. But when I was the sciatica wasn't, it wasn't. Anyway, point on that is the VA should not deny you, right? They shouldn't deny you. Deny you an increased rating also because you did not indicate a specific stressor. If you're already rated, if you have let's say you do have 50% mental health or PTSD, and you go to, do an increase, and they come back and say, well, you didn't identify a stressor, you're already rated. You're just showing, how things have gotten worse. So perfect example. I love working with the mental health side because it is near and dear to my heart for sure. We got 7 minutes, so I want to make sure we get through this. Ignoring loss of function. I think you have with your back issues, knee issues, whatever musculoskeletal issues that you have. The example I have is, if you go in for your knee, right, you can go max flexion, but you're only able to go a certain point,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then they consider the pain leading up to that, right? You can move it, but then what about other considerations like loss of mobility, right? Can you technically walk with your knee injury? I mean, yeah, maybe, right? Is the pain? How bad is the pain? Like, what frequency, severity, and duration do you have dealing with that pain? But it's not functional, right? So there's multiple factors in there where the VA can rate a part of like that mobility issue. They're only taking into a part of just the mobility issue, not the pain issue,
Yeah.
right?
There's also instability. Like if your
Mm-hmm.
knees occasionally give out because of all the wear and tear that happened in the military, that's another issue. It's not just the range of motion. And, the older I get, the more I'm feeling it every so often where my knees actually feel wobbly. It's pretty unsettling.
Yes.
And I talked to older vets where their knee literally just like shuts off in the middle of them walking. So that is a great example of like, yeah, it's not just strictly the range of motion. It's like, how else does that knee impair your ability to function throughout the day?
Great. No, that's a great explanation, right? You can go in there and do the leg test, but then, like you said, walking up and down the stairs. I'm finding myself taking, the little escalator things a little bit more than I used to with, I always used to take the stairs, good fitness, get the steps in, but then sometimes your knees just hurting to the point where you're like, I just don't want to.
Yep.
So that's perfect example on that. Now, the other one I want to go into fake qualifiers. Fake qualifiers. What do I mean by that? So mental health on a gambit of 10, 30, 10 0, 10, 30, 50, 70, 100, right? So when you start developing this process, you understand, not developing, when you get into this process, you'll see that there are, symptoms per the percentages, right? Or the qualifiers here. So one for the mental health, talking about for example, if you are talking about obsessive rituals, do you have to turn the stove on and off, click it 3 times, click it 5 times, make sure that the toilet paper is facing the right way. The roll is under, not over. That's
checking
just
garage doors if it's closed after you leave.
100%. Doors need to be closed, like whatever it is, right? If that's an obsessional ritual, that's falling up to that 70. So is suicidal ideation, right? So if they come back and you have those marked on your decision letter and you get with your coach and you say, hey, they only rated me at this level 50, but look, I got a couple here at 70, you might be a great candidate, true story, for a higher level review. And we'll get to that here after this. Because, it doesn't say that a person needs to act on their suicidal ideations. They don't need to act on it. Okay, it doesn't say anywhere in the code, but it's got to be there, and it's all like, right, you do that CMP preparation, how well you convey your own personal dealings with the symptoms, right? We can't work with you on how and tell you how to say or what to say on those symptoms, right? But we can, for sure, you being able to talk. I can talk to my own 70%. I can talk on those for sure. But from top to bottom, the VA does they cover a lot of different disabilities, right? And they define many different, where do you fall within that threshold? So just understanding that, yes, you can apply for the HLR based on that, but it's also in the hands of that rater reviewer in that process. Okay. And it is, I don't say organic, we'll call it evolving, right? Because mental health, right, with the studies that come out and all that, I'm not a doctor, clearly, but things are always evolving, especially with that side. So,
but yeah, when they split hairs into something that's not even really applicable to the rating, you have to have that eye to really see what they do. And it sounds convincing, but when you start really reading the fine details of what they wrote, you're like, wait, but that's not actually applicable to the rating. So that denial is a bad denial. But after that, we go into if you think that the VA made a mistake, what do you do? So there's a couple of ways that you can go about appealing a bad denial. So again, if you have a coach, we can take a look at that denial letter and tell you exactly which is the best route to take. A supplemental claim, if there was evidence missing, if there was a mistake on your part and there was evidence missing, then you can submit some supplemental evidence to appeal that denial. If the VA made a mistake, then you can submit for a higher level review. Now, you can't submit any new evidence for a high level review, but you can just ask a senior examiner to double check the work that the first examiner made. And a large percentage of the time, they do recognize that a mistake was made and will take the proper steps to correct that mistake to either service connected or provide some clarification on why it was denied. But you get a second chance to get seasoned eyes to take a look at that claim to make sure it was processed. And most of the time, with the higher level reviews, if that's the better route to take, they're successful. They either result in a service connection or the increase that should have happened the first time around because it was a mistake that was made.
Definitely within 1 year. So you get a claim back, unfavorable decision, you have that 1 year mark, right? So it's just you're submitting the paperwork, you want to do the informal conference, whatever you determine that you want to do. I typically have my vets do that just because you want to get in front of somebody. You want to be able to tell your story. You're not submitting anything new. You're just going to sit there and point it out, right? So sometimes even the VA can correct themselves, come back with that cue, the clear, unmistakable error. But what I'm looking for when somebody sends in an HLR, I'm looking for them to get back one of those notices. Remember, we said that they have to send you a notice. They have to send you the paperwork to update. I'm looking for that duty to assist error, right? I'm looking to that duty to assist to say, okay, hey, we did look at it. We found an issue. We're figuring out specifically what that issue is and how we can remedy it. But as long as you see that duty to assist, I think you're going to be pretty good. If you need to submit new and relevant information, like you said, supplemental is the best way to go, for sure.
Yep.
So I think with all that, the VA, I will say this, we just spoke on some things about, hey, the VA did this, the VA did that, you know what I mean? But I want to speak a little gratitude. I'm grateful for them,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm grateful for them because they help look after me, they help look after my health care for my family. But we're all human, right? We're going to make mistakes, especially a part of a bureaucratic system, right? As such as this, and it can become overburdened, whether in us as being veterans, a protected class of society, you served, you deserve. So hopefully this has, if this is your first time here, right? And you've never done this before, or you've been, I think I saw a couple people in the chat, I don't have the ability to look at it right now, that they've been in a certain percentage for that long, right? Whatever you are, wherever you're at, I appreciate y'all for being here and taking some time to get some knowledge, to be open to receiving some knowledge and looking to get to where you need to be, right? Legally, ethically, and morally by law. Where do you fall, right?
Yeah, if
So I'm
veterans
grateful, John,
have
that
been
you took
stuck,
time
yeah.
to be with me. Thank you for that.
Likewise. Yeah, no, veterans, there are some veterans that have been stuck for years, if not decades, at a certain rating. And when they finally come on board with us, we'll show them either how to properly go after that claim they're going for, or most of the time they don't realize that they have like another 3 or 4 or 5 claims that they do qualify for that are a lot easier to go after than that one claim that they've been pursuing for so many years. So when we take a look at the records, we can identify the most viable claims to go after. We'll ask some questions about that. Most of the time, like, any injuries that happen during active duty just get worse over time. So definitely, if you've been struggling, if you've been frustrated at the VA just not listening to the evidence, have us take a look. Maybe there was something there that we can understand that will help your case be recognized. And to quick recap about what we do here, VA Claims Insider provides strategy, education, and help you identify medical evidence. We have one-on-one coaching, strategy sessions. Um, we don't submit any claims. We can't access any of your accounts, but we can tell you a heads up of what to expect with claim submissions, how to the steps needed for filing a claim. We have live classes 3 times a day. We have coffee with the coaches, mental health prep, and medical prep. So feel free to sign up for a discovery call. We also have our links where you can sign up for Coach Jeff or myself. And yeah, if you guys definitely are frustrated, come to us. We've made quite a difference in several veterans' lives. So,
And
yeah.
also with our founder Brian Reese, great gentleman for starting this movement. He's got the "You Deserve It" second edition that's now available, right on Amazon, free download. Check it out. I appreciate y'all for being here as well. Thank you. Now we got some questions.
Yep. So let's see. Frank asks, "How do you contact Coach Jeff?" Coach Jeff has his own sign up link that can be brought up here, right there.
Appreciate you, Frank. You sign up, I'll be.
And let's see. Under mental health, reading through some questions here. So there's a question on why, if you have PTSD, why won't they recognize your depression or anxiety? Well, there's a rule that the VA um, won't pay out in terms of pyramiding. So you can only ever have one mental health rating, and if that mental health rating covers the symptoms of another condition like depression, like PTSD covers a lot of similar symptoms of depression and anxiety. So I've had vets that will go for years trying to get depression service connected. I'll see that PTSD is already service connected. The VA is not going to pay out twice at the same rating. A lot of times it's going to be combined. You'll see PTSD with major depressive disorder and anxious features. So those are already incorporating the symptoms of PTSD, depression, and anxiety. Good question. And Don, the VA loves to give you service-connected conditions at 0. You have 4 of them. So Don, have us take a look at what those 0% are. You might be qualified to go after an increase on them. So some vets will have 0%. They're not stuck at the rating that the VA awards them the first time around. Like I said earlier, conditions get worse after some time. And if those 0% have gotten worse over time, then by all means, let us take a look. Let's see if it's a viable claim to go after. So we really go off the honor system here. If some of those are like back and knee conditions and they've gotten worse, then let's definitely take a look and see if that's a good claim to go after. Good question. And then Ralph, if you're at 90% and have a CMP pending, should you wait for TDIU? So depending on what route you're going after with that, Ralph, you might be more eligible to go after 100%. And it's all situational based. So if you've been at 90%, you don't have any other viable claims to go after, you've been out of work because of your 90%, then maybe TDIU is the right route. So again, if you don't have a coach yet, get signed up for one, and let's definitely take a look and give you the best advice. And I see Na Monet. Apparently, they see pregnancy issues and postpartum that affect your work and fitness capacity is non-service related and will give you 0%. So that might be a mental health claim that you're talking about. Postpartum can be a very difficult struggle to go through. If they give you a 0% and you're still struggling with the symptoms of postpartum, then absolutely get signed up with a coach and see how that condition has worsened over time. That way we can take a look and how it's been affecting you at work, how it's been affecting you with your personal life, and with the relationship that you have with yourself. So a lot of times when someone's work and personal life takes a hit, your own identity takes a hit, your own self-judgment takes a hit. So if those have been getting very problematic, then I definitely say that 0 is definitely underrated.
Thank you, Coach Luna. Sorry about that technical difficulties.
Oh, you're good. So let's see. Good questions today.
Yeah, I don't have access to them because I just came back in. So
one day, let's see.
And if you are, I don't know what to do. Where am I at with this process? Do a discovery call. Okay, we got our veteran ambassadors. They're great people. They can ask questions. We got a team here, right? More team than a family. We got a family here that definitely, majority of the individuals here, veterans. So the whole thing that I take away from the Marine Corps is shared suffering breeds unit cohesion, right? So I know about the process. I've been through the process. My grandfather, God rest his soul, he was an Air Force Master Sergeant, retired. He went to his grave at 10%, even though he for 20 years after the Air Force, he worked with Department of Veterans Affairs. So he was so focused on guiding and being with other veterans as well that he didn't take care of himself. So, if you're here right now, it's good. It's a great thing because you're here to take care of yourself, right? A leader of one, a leader of many. If you cannot lead one, you cannot lead any. So that means like your family or even yourself. Mm-hmm. So those are just some, tidbits that I like to say, especially to veterans that come to me, because this is it's an arduous process, and you got to stay in the fight for sure.
Yeah, not only like do you sign up here going after the compensation and recognition you deserve, but a lot of times veterans will finally start going to the doctor with problems that have just been getting worse for years, like
Mm-hmm.
that otherwise would not have gone to seek help. So, back problems, mental health problems, veterans, their eyes open when they realize that they've really, really been struggling with problems that they didn't know. A lot of times, some vets will even sign up just out of curiosity, and then we have a conversation, found out that they've been just going from job to job, relationship to relationship, drinking problems, and they start receiving help, and their eyes just widen. Like, I had no idea I was actually struggling with
Yeah.
this. I thought it was all just me. That's like one of the most common things I hear. I thought it was just me, but come to find out, it's recognized symptoms that have been holding your quality of life back. So when you go through this process, not only do you get the compensation and recognition you deserve, but you get the help for these conditions because they can be very detrimental. Mental health, back problems, like anything like that. And let's see, I got a question. Lawanda Mason, what
Mm-hmm.
about when the VA makes an error with the effective date of an award? So that really has a couple of components to it. For instance, if you have a denied claim, you submit an appeal, you can, if you submit an appeal within 12 months, you can potentially be entitled to back pay from within that 12-month period, plus whatever amount of time it took for them to process that claim. Now, if you allow 12 months to exceed, that time resets. So even if you submit like a supplemental claim at that point, because HLRs expire after 12 months, if you submit a supplemental claim, then that clock resets. It will only pay as far out as that supplemental claim processes. Now, there's another question, like I was denied for something, but I had the diagnosis from 12 years ago. Can I get back pay for that? Like I said earlier, that there's just that 12-month window to appeal to get that back pay. After that 12 months, then it's restarting to whenever that new appeal gets submitted and no further past that.
Those are dealing with legacy claims because they did the Appeals Modernization Act back 18 or 19. So typically with those types of claims, those are like a case by case. And if you have specific questions on that, that's a VA question, absolutely. But I have seen people get back pay up to 2 years. I have seen it, but that's just because the VA was taking that long, no kidding, taking that long to confirm a stressor, right? To confirm information. So just making sure you have an extra set of eyes, right, with a coach, kind of like a JOB or a junk on the bunk inspection, or, if you're going out like on a cargo airlift, hey, do we have the right weight? Do we have the right cargo? If it's, how many packs, how many weapons, that's where my mind is at in terms of trying to organize and make sure, my vets, they have everything. Coach, we have everything. Yes, what do you got? You have your application forms. You're doing a fully developed claim. Is it supplemental? What is it? Arm you with the information to make the best strategy. And if you do need the medical evidence, right, you have the strategy, the education piece. That's what we're doing here now. And then everything else should flow. So for sure. Well, we're definitely coming up on the end of the hour. And I want to say thank you to, our support team behind us helping with the functioning. So I know they're not here. You can't see them, but I want to give them a shout out right now. So thank you all for being here. Coach Luna, thank you for being here, sir. As always,
Yes, sir.
it's
Thank you for being here.
cross-functional training with the Air Force. Hoorah. I don't know what Air Force says, but I say thank you. It doesn't matter. Thank you. It does matter to me. So thank you for your service. And each and every one of you, wherever you're joining from, the comments that you have, thank you, right? It provides us better insight and better opportunities for growth so that we may continue to serve our veteran clients. So I salute each and every one of you. I would do it, but I guess I had some technical difficulties with my phone. So thank you.
No, you're good. Yeah, if any vets need help, please sign up for either one of us. Sign up for the discovery call. The discovery call will go over fees, the type of service that we provide, what type of service we don't provide. just to see if it's a good fit for you. So by all means, sign up, and best of luck to you all. Thank you.